Hello, everybody. Thank you very much for joining us. We're delighted to welcome you to the GOSH BRC showcase. A couple of housekeeping links before I hand over to Matt Shaw to formally welcome us. Just to say, I'm Laura Turner. I'm the Deputy Director of Operations for the BRC. We'll be hosting this event and we'll be running Slido. You've seen in the various chats and on the event details that have been sent to you that questions will be taken through Slido. So if you go onto the Slido link, you can place your questions there and we'll have a Q&A at the end of each block, each session after, say, 3 talks. You can also vote on our image competition on Slido. So we've had a competition running for a few weeks now, a moment of research. And the top 3 images have been selected by a number of different panels and they're available for you to vote on for the best image. You've also been sent a web link, and this will be in the chat as well, for the agenda for the day. And just a reminder that if you would like to see subtitles for this event, if you go on the bottom right of your screen, you'll see a live transcript button, which you can activate. And after that, I'm going to hand over to Matt Shaw now, the Chief Executive Officer of GOSH. Thank you very much, Matt.
Hi, everybody, and thanks, Laura, for that introduction. I'm really delighted to be here. I think it's 2 years since I did the last one of these, which was in person. And what a great event it really was. And hopefully we'll get back to more normal times and being able to do this in person next year, because it certainly is a great event. So did you know it was 20 years since the first gene therapy happened at Great Ormond Street? And what a history that is, and what a marker, a milestone that is in terms of research and how it's progressed throughout not just Great Ormond Street, but the whole of the UK and actually the world. And how much of this research is massively transforming patients and families' lives to the betterment. And what amazing discoveries we've had over the past few years with conditions which would have significantly limited children's lifespans. But now children are living healthier, happier lives as a result of some of the treatments that we now give. And it really is a remarkable time. I'm a doctor by background, and certainly much of the stuff now discussed I never learned at medical school, and it's a really, really exciting time to be in this field. Looking at the agenda for this afternoon, there's some really exciting talks in there, and I'm really fortunate to be in a lot of conversations around research and to understand what the research is that's going on across the Institute of Child Health, main partner in this endeavour, and with the BRC. And when you look, whether it's gene therapy, whether it's data stuff, whether it's tissue regeneration and making new esophaguses or tracheias or whatever tissue we're making this week, it's super exciting and the future looks really, really bright. But the last 2 years have been interesting, haven't they? And I think what this has taught me is that research isn't just about those projects and initiatives. It's about the whole infrastructure and ethos by which we need to develop as a hospital in our ambition of being a really true research hospital. Every patient having access to research, every bed having a patient who is a research patient in that bed. And what COVID taught us was having that infrastructure, having that sense of endeavour, innovation has served us very well over the past couple of years. Whether that links to the amazing things the labs have done in relation to the genotyping of COVID itself, the making of the variant and COVID itself in terms of human challenge trials, or the many papers which our researchers have produced, and the new diseases we've discovered in terms of PIMS-TS, which came out of London and collaborations with other hospitals in London around this inflammatory condition linked to COVID itself. So it's been certainly a different time, but it's been no more exciting, and the innovation and things that have happened have been absolutely amazing. So what next? Well, obviously it's time for the BRC to be renewed again. But with that comes some really exciting partnerships with colleagues from Birmingham, Sheffield and Alderhay, which we work ever more closely with in this field, not just clinically, but in research as well. And that's really, really exciting. There's new infrastructure in the hospital, which we really need to maximise, because the hospital's tactic of not only being a research hospital, but it relies on having the building blocks and foundations so we can have amazing research happen on site and really fulfill that vision. So whether it's the data infrastructure of our EPR and our digital research environment, whether it's around the capability of our GMP facilities to manufacture vector for the world and for the UK, all of these are now coming live, coming online, and should be the bedrock of an amazingly further successful period of BRC, fingers crossed, at Great Ormond Street and the Institute of Child Health. The research strategy and a research hospital is a core for Great Ormond Street. It's the only way we will continue to succeed and really help these children with rare and complex diseases, which is absolutely our mission here, to try and make a difference and an impact for those. The last thing I'll say is just thank you for all the teams, all of the management team, and Laura, Thomas, Roz from ICH, David Goldblatt from who's the Research Innovation Director in the hospital, because without all of you and without all of the researchers that we have, and without all of the willing patients and parents that we have who take part in our studies and trials, we would not be as far ahead as we are, and I thank you all for that. I hope you have a lovely afternoon, and I'll introduce Thomas, who will now take you to the next stage of the agenda. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Matt. And we do feel very embedded and integrated in the research hospital. And as you say, it's very exciting times. Let me share my screen. I hope you can all see my screen.
Yes, all good, Thomas.
Okay, so welcome to all of you for this afternoon. Of course, we wanted to do this showcase already last year and as an in-person meeting. As you know, the pandemic made this impossible. So we are so happy now that we did get this off the ground eventually as a virtual meeting. We have a very broad reach out. Many of you have signed up, and we really want to cover for you what we have done in the BRC. So this is very much a retrospective presentation of the different work streams and achievements which we want to share with you, and also celebrate some of the important progresses that have been achieved. And at the end, I will also give you a little glimpse towards the future, what the next BRC will be about. So our mission and our vision are clearly to transform the health of children and the adults they will become. And we want to develop cutting-edge research methods and combine them with world-leading clinical trial expertise. This is important. It's all around patients. And of course, we are focused on rare diseases, primarily because the majority of our patients are suffering from rare diseases. And as we know, the summary of rare diseases is something not so rare and touches about 3.5 million people in the UK. By the way, the two patients you're seeing here are siblings, and the younger of these two has been successfully treated with gene therapy and is appearing, as you can see, much healthier than her older sibling, who also strongly emotionally supports this effort. So, what are our aims? We want to develop new medications, new surgical techniques, new biomarkers, new diagnostic tests, and bring them to the patients. We want to support and develop early innovative medicine and science. We're doing actually quite a bit of basic research also to develop translational medicine. And embedded in all of these efforts, we are training the next generation because, as we know, we will all follow the rules of turnover, and it's important that we develop the future leaders of translational medicine in the optimum academic environment. The current BRC is structured around 4 major themes: gene stem cellular therapies, genomics and system medicine, novel therapies and their translation into childhood diseases, and advanced treatments for structural malformation. And you will see that these themes are maintained into the next application, and we'll come to that later. Alongside that, we have 4 cross-cutting themes, one around the rare disease cohorts, which is very important and which we have now developed further into a data science theme, and we will come to that. And of course, also our experimental academy, all the education we're doing, our CRF high-end inpatient trials, and our research and enterprise activity. Alongside this, we have developed a very, very active BRC junior faculty. Many of the junior faculty members will be presenting, and you will meet them during the meeting. And we have a very, very active public and patient involvement and engagement group, and I will also come to this in more detail. So what's this BRC money really doing? Where is it going? Many of you may ask this question. In actual fact, the BRC money funds more than 150 research staff every year. And as you see at the bottom, it's not just the PhD in the lab or the doctor at the bedside. It's actually a very wide variety of different specialists, nurses, healthcare scientists, geneticists, pharmacists, non-clinical scientists, psychologists, dietitians. It's really broad. And not only are we funding these, we're actually developing career pathways for these people, because the research hospital, as Matt has already hinted to, is a very, very complex organism that has a need for different professional specifications to work as an entity. So we are supporting key posts and themes. Many of the posts are also supporting core facilities like our human-induced pluripotent stem cell facilities or gene and cell therapy platforms, bioinformatics. And then a certain amount of money is going towards project grants that are shorter, usually between 1 year and up to 3 years. And these are selected following open competitions with peer review and frequently also outside review. We are funding project grants and career development awards in order to train the next generation. What are some major achievements? You know, academics are always measured on metrics. So the BRC until now has published more than 1,600 papers acknowledging the NIHR. We have run 82 phase 1 and 122 phase 2 trials. Very importantly, we have a high proportion of first in man and first in child trials in our case, 28. We have recruited more than 15,000 participants into these trials and generated, in addition to the BRC money, an external income of more than 225 million pounds. We filed 30 patents, and very important, we've also created a new spin-out company. And if you look at the 2 previous spin-out companies, one really based on all the GOSH BRC work, Orchard Therapeutics, and the other one, Autolus, which has a larger proportion of UCLH BRC, but also GOSH BRC contributions. These 2 spin-outs have subsequently, during IPO, raised more than $850 million of additional funding for research. So these are important efforts of the BRC that are then transported into the world of outside economics, but they do enrich the bioscience environment in the UK. And in a similar way, we are very closely working in strategic alliances of different kinds with other companies such as Viderigen, Avexis, Sarepta, and so forth. Now, all of this may sound very theoretical. What are the practical corollaries? We really want to improve the life of our patients. And just a few examples here, all things that would never have happened without the BRC support. So Sarah is an ADA's kid, so immunodeficiency patient, currently on a trial of an innovative gene therapy. She was born without an immune system that was working properly. We've developed non-invasive prenatal testing based on cell-free DNA from the fetus that goes into the maternal circulation. And this technology avoids the invasive and for the fetus also for the pregnancy risky procedure of an amniocentesis, for example. And that has been successfully introduced into the NHS in the meantime. We have developed a methodology that will in future hopefully enable us to replace children who are born with short bowel syndrome or have a short bowel syndrome following necrotic enterocolitis. And we will develop other organ replacements, such as for the thymus, which you see on the lower right. So there's a whole activity of replacing organs that are malformed in children, and very, very cutting edge in that domain also is the development of a UK service for in utero surgery. And Mila, who you see on the picture here, had spina bifida, diagnosed already by ultrasound during the pregnancy, and had a surgery during the pregnancy before she was born. And we know that this improves the outcome quite dramatically. And we're currently developing this methodology further towards a minimally invasive fetoscopic surgery. And last but not least, we have developed or co-developed 11 new therapies that in the meantime have, so during the current BRC, have obtained EMA and FDA approvals. So these are now medications that are available for patients that were not available as medications before. So as I said before, training the next generation of translational researchers is one of our main work streams in the BRC. And we are doing this at the undergraduate, graduate, and postgraduate level. And in order to do so, we have developed different schemes supporting these different groups with summer internships, nursing, AHP, and HCS pharmacist internships very early. We are then specifically supporting doctoral training at all different levels, so also for nurses and AHPs. And we have developed specific grant schemes to support postdoctoral researchers to get them to the next level. And some of these schemes have been very, very successful. So we devised what we call a catalyst fellowship. These are people who are advanced post a PhD, but have not yet achieved a permanent position or a major outside fellowship. We support them in their research, and with an investment of £700,000, the Catalyst Fellows themselves have actually now leveraged over 5 million of external fund money, have obtained fellowships from Wellcome, MRC, Marie Curie, and so forth. So showing that if we invest in people who are promising and who give their very best, they have a very, very high chance of being successful. The same for the nursing and AHP pathways. 700,000 investment, more than 3.2 million leveraged external funding with NIHR, predoctoral, and other funding schemes picking that up. So we're very happy. And we're of course not alone in doing that. We're doing that in collaboration also with UCL, Francis Crick, the Brunel University. So we have a good network to support the next generation of translational researchers. In the same way, everything we're doing not only for our patients, we're doing it actually with our patients, with their families, their carers, and with the public. And here the task is not only to listen to them, but to actively involve them in all the operational parts of our research business. Meaning we are consulting them on our research strategy. In many ways, they have actively advised and even changed our research strategy. They help in reviewing funding applications. They pronounce themselves very, very much. And many of them, of course, are previous patients or are still patients at GOSH. So they know from their own lives what it means to be exposed to research. And they review funding applications, they review study documentations, they help us with developing artificial intelligence in medicine and the new data science and how we apply it. So we really involve them, and they love to be involved, and they're very, very helpful in driving a child-conscious new translational medicine forward. So a short glimpse into the future. What are we planning to do in the next BRC? Of course, this is still an ongoing process. Beyond the 4 themes I've already introduced, we've added a 5th theme around applied child health informatics. You may know that GOSH is probably the most digitally mature trust in the UK. We have already a fantastic digital research environment established at GOSH. We have in 2019 already switched to electronic patient records that are integrated with the digital research environment. And we are already very actively engaged also with pharma and with data science companies to develop the digital research environment forward and make all the new developments like AI and machine learning and lifetime connection of patient records available for a best possible research for children. And then we have asked to set up pediatric excellence initiatives together with Sheffield, Birmingham Children's, and Alder Hey in Liverpool. And we're very, very happy about this initiative because we think that together we can add a lot of added value to each other. We are working together around specific research themes already, which we will build out to a wider network in which we will also include charity activities. We've already gained a lot of charity support also for this initiative, as well as support from the Royal College, which we're very happy about. And we will develop this further in order to create a national initiative where all BRCs that do have pediatric themes can link in to share their early findings and develop new research themes in collaboration. So to conclude, what will the new phases look like? As always, there's turnover, and we have very successfully already renewed a lot of leadership in the BRC. Paul Gissen will lead on gene stem and cell therapies to develop the new therapies for childhood cancer and other gene therapy targets for blood diseases, brain diseases, skin, metabolic, neuromuscular diseases. Lynn Chitty will lead on genomic medicine to develop genetic and bioinformatics, data analysis, methods to support new genetic diagnosis, early diagnosis before birth, and to help monitor cancers and organ transplants. Manju Kurian and Darren Hargraves will develop the accelerated novel therapies theme and combine human stem cell derived models with gene editing to explore new therapies such as RNA therapies, antisense therapies, and will support innovative new drug trials and the methodology around them. Then Jane Sowden and Paula De Coppi will continue to develop tissue engineering and the regenerative medicine theme, and you will hear more about that in the presentation subsequently that will give you concrete examples. And Neil Sabir will drive the applied child health informatics theme, the new theme, to advance our data science methods and bring them as close as we can into research and to the patients. And with that, I would like to conclude and thank you very much and hope you have a lovely afternoon. There's a lot of sparkling science coming for you. Thank you.
Thank you for that excellent overview, Thomas, of the BRC. There's just one question for you on Slido that says, many thanks for organising this event. May I ask where we could find out what GOSH novel treatments or clinical trials are available for international patients?
all our trials are available and announced, always both, I think, nationally, there's a database where all trials are on, but also, of course, we have them available. We have special, particularly in areas where there are many trials, special mechanisms where it's not the individual doctor who is assigning the individual patient, but where we have anonymized processes for patients to get access to specific trials, so that it's not, I give my preferred trial to my preferred patient. So there are mechanisms around this. So the trials are on the databases, but where specific diseases are the basis of very specific trials, one still has to discuss with the appropriate specialist what would be the eligibility for this or that trial.
That's great. Thanks very much, Thomas. If I could ask you to stop sharing your slides now.